Okay, I was going to summarize my dad's snowblower, and he's been saying something about it. I've been smelling the garage up at gas. This is the two-stage snapper, the 4 or 5 horse Tecumseh. But a few years ago, I had to replace this elbow because it cracked and it was dripping gas all over. But that's all I did. This carburetor's never been rebuilt, so it was a little wet in the throat there where the choke is, so I'm assuming the needle and seat need to be replaced. So you can buy just this needle and seat kit. It's a number to it. And I'm going to pull a carburetor apart and put a needle and seat in it, and then I will take the carburetor back up to my dad's and put it back on his snowblower, and hopefully won't drip anymore. Then I'm going to summarize the snowblower, put it away for the season. So anyway, I'm going to get started on that. First thing I do is I just take my handy gum out and spray the exterior of the carburetor. Now this is a snowblower carburetor, so they don't get very dirty. They stay pretty clean. There's no air filter on snowblowers because they don't run in dirty conditions, but I always just like to spray them off, make sure I don't get anything unnecessary in them. And I'm not going to change the adjustments. The engine ran perfect, so I'm just going to take these out and leave the adjustments right where they are. I might spray that with a little gum out, but there's the float, and we'll get that off. I may need a little something to push that pin out. And you always want to make sure your floats don't have gas in them. Just shake them and listen. This one's fine. These are clear plastic. They're not solid foam. So the brass and the hollow plastic, not clear, but hollow plastic, you want to shake them. And then I always just set them around, see if gas seep. You notice the little nub there, so if it's in a 2-cycle, it prevents it from sticking to the bottom of the bowl. It rides on that little dimple in there. So it's important you put the bowl back on the correct way. So here's the needle. That actually looks good, and the seat looks good, but we're going to replace it. And I'll show you the quickest way I have. That tool works good to put the seat in, but this is the best way to get the old one out. There it is. So we'll put a new one in, and you always put it in, see there's little ridges on it. That goes down in the body of the carburetor, and that's the needle side. That's a little swollen, so it might have some alcohol that swelled it up. So anyway, I'll get the new one out, we'll put it in. Alright, I laid the new parts out here, and we'll put the little seat on the thing the way it goes in the carburetor. And I'm just going to put a little dab of oil around it to slide it in a little easier. Maybe just wipe my finger that has some oil on there. And then we'll just push this into the carburetor until it bottoms out. Just that simple. New carburetor needle seat in there. So let's get the float in and make sure that's all level, and hopefully this thing won't drip anymore. Alright, put the float in and put the little needle on there. Push the float pin back in. And it's a little, you can see it's not exactly, it should be about like that. So it's just a little tiny deep, and that might be why it was dripping. So we'll shallow that float out just a fuzz there. You do that by taking a screwdriver and that little metal tab down in there between the float and the needle. You just bend it a little bit. Very little. It takes very little to adjust the float level. Because if they're too deep, they will drip. And that looks pretty good right there. Always blowing them, make sure they seat, lift them up with my finger, make sure you can blow through them, in which I can. So that looks pretty darn good. So I'll throw the bowl back on, and next time I'm up to my dad's, I'll put it back on the snowblower and get the oil changed in it. Okay, now you can see spot on. Gasket goes on. The bowl goes on. Gotta see, I think this went on this way. Whoops, this way. Yeah, that's where they line up. So the bowl goes on. And then the needle valve, wherever I set it. I gotta go find it. Alright, it was under the pan. Put a new gasket. This needle kit comes with a new gasket for there. And this thing should be ready to go without having to readjust it. I'll probably check the adjustments, but they're probably going to be spot on. So there it is. New needle and seat in the carburetor. I'll take the video camera when I do the summarizing. Alright, we're going to work on the snapper. Put the carburetor back on and get the engine going. So the first thing I do is hook the governor linkage back up. Set the carburetor in place. Get the fuel line on as I push the carburetor into place. That bolt's not going through the carburetor. There we go. Start the nuts. Snug it up. Okay, the carburetor is nice and tight. Put the primer hose back on. Fuel hose, I'll have to get a pair of pliers to put the clamp on. I can squeeze it with my fingers, I guess. Okay, the clamp's back on. The heater box back on. That's so the bottom of the muffler heats the air in this box, and it keeps the carburetor from frosting up, because as the air enters the carburetor, goes through the venturi, it cools. And it'll freeze up and then the engine won't run right. So this keeps the air temperature going into the carburetor warmer. There's a nut, bolt up here. Whoops, need a bigger socket. Put the choke knob back on. Put the key thing back in it, and it's ready to take outside and start it up and warm it up, change oil. Okay, we'll fire this thing up and get the oil changed. I turned the fuel on. Looks like it's that's the info plate. It's a model 4220. So 4 horsepower, I think 22-inch cut. So let's get it fired up here. easy and a hard way to do everything. This is the easy way, no mess. Okay, we're going to put some estate sale oil in it. And I forgot my little beaker, so I'm just going to have to guesstimate when I get 20 ounces in it. Okay, these steps are kind of important. Yes, there's grease fittings. There's a gearbox they put 4 or 5 pumps into, and then there's on the auger so it doesn't seize to the shaft. Okay, there's a fitting there, there, and there that need to be greased. Then you pull the wheels off and grease the shafts so they don't rust out. Now this just has a little clip, a pin, when the wheel comes off and you can grease that shaft up. It's important to keep those greased. Liberal with the grease. Looks like I need to oil light bushing there. This is a pretty old snowblower. Get the whole line back up here. Can't see it. There we go. Do that to both wheels. While those oil light bushings, I'll spray the whole machine with WD-40 and wipe it around with a rag. Okay, now I go around with this and spray all the moving parts. And you can be liberal with the grease. The machine works out in the snow, so it actually never hurts. And I'll run the gas out of it now. Next is I'll start it up, warm it up, and drain the gas out of it. I turn the fuel off and I changed the oil, so I can turn that back on. Okay, the memory card went full, so I don't know what I missed and what I didn't get, but I was leaving it on full throttle, full choke, hitting the primer until it quit running. And then I took my air hose and blew the remaining gas out of fuel tank. And then that'll ensure it'll start, you know, come fall after sitting all summer. You know, in the winter time it doesn't hurt like the lawnmower. I never drain the gas out of it. It doesn't tend to varnish up in the winter, but in the summertime it seems to varnish up quick, so that's why I make sure the gas is all out of these machines. And the last thing I do before I put it away to prevent corrosion is I spray the whole machine down with WD-40, engine and all, muffler. There's nothing I miss with WD-40. Handles, everything inside of the bucket. And then I just take a paper towel and just smear it around. And that's what keeps these things looking nice. This machine's probably, what, close to 40 years old, do you think, Dad? Probably. It still looks pretty darn nice. And I do this periodically through the winter too. This keeps the machines in better shape. If you take care of them, then you can get a lot of years of use out of them. You don't have to waste money replacing them. Alright, this machine's done. Now we got the wimpy. One more snowblower to winterize. Tank out and ran it with the choke and the primer a few times on. I'll try and spray some fogging oil in the because it's a two-stroke, you gotta, you know, it can get moisture through the ports, and so I just like on the two-stroke squirt a little fogging oil in it. No gas in the carburetor, and I'll spray this with WD-40 too. Okay, we had a huge windstorm, so I'm just going to clean up some pine cones and branches with this, and then we'll go on. Oops, I guess it would help if I turned the throttle on. Alright, that'll be the first start of the year for this too. This has had gas in it all year. Okay, all the yard work's done, everything's put away. Looks really nice. First mowing of the season. I've been so busy I haven't even had a chance to play with the old cars, so I'm going to take this car out for a ride. I haven't driven either one of them, and I can't remember when. I think the last time I started this was at first start of the season. So I think we're going to go for a little ride. Open some windows up. It's a nice warm Saturday afternoon. So let's go for a short ride. Well, I was noticing the power was out everywhere. We had a big windstorm yesterday, and then still a lot of traffic lights and a lot of power outages. So anyway, we're just going out for a short ride. I have a little extra time. Early for plants for this part of Michigan anyway. Rough road. Saturday evening in May. Christmas trees. More Christmas trees. Go for a long ways. That's a Romeo Ford engine plant. That's where the engine that's in my pickup was made. Big facility. It used to be all woods. Somebody built a house in there with a nice view of the bus garage I used to work at. This is the school bus garage I worked at when I was in the co-op program in high school. I earned the money to buy this car that we're in right now. There's the old building. School buses are a little different now than what they were when I worked here in the 70s when I worked there, and they're all B700 and 750s with 361 gas and the 5-speed manual and air brakes. I think the 750s had 4 barrels and the 700s had 2 barrels. The 700s were 60 passenger and the 750s were 66 passenger. It's hard to shift and steer and hold the camera and do that all at the same time. But anyway, we're about home, so again, if you enjoy my channel, please subscribe, and thank you for watching my videos.